Hey, welcome back to Album April. It's April 23rd, and today I listened to Boston by Boston. Probably one of the more famous self-titled albums ever made. There is another one coming up later this month that I do think is more famous, but this is up there. Boston is one of those stadium rock bands in the same category as Journey or Foreigner. And their self-titled debut album was gigantic. It was 17 times platinum and is one of the highest selling debut albums of all time. That didn't even produce their biggest hit song. Their only number one single was Amanda from their third album. But that's not the Boston song that's constantly played on classic rock stations. That would be the opening of this album, More Than a Feeling. And I'm probably gonna have to go with the boring choice and say that More Than a Feeling was my favorite song from this album. I never really paid attention to the lyrics of this song. I kind of just assumed that they were you make me feel something no one else can feel type of song. That's actually not the case at all. This song is about nostalgia in the very literal sense of nostalgia being a word that means the pain of an old wound. It's about how when the narrator hears a specific song, he's brought back to a moment where someone named Mary Ann disappeared from his life. One thing I noticed throughout this album is Boston leaning heavily on vocal harmonies. It's very different from Journey. With Journey, you got Steve Perry, and Steve Perry is usually enough all on his own. One other notable thing about Boston is their use of the Hammond organ. The Hammond organ is a type of electric organ that is very popular in rock, especially prog rock. It's a pretty different vibe from the original pipe organ sound. You hear that, you usually think of churches or medieval castles with Dracula in it. This is a lot more like that organ you'd hear at sports events and stuff like that. The most notable use of the Hammond organ in Boston by Boston was the third song, which was a two-parter. It went foreplay / long time, and foreplay is basically an extended organ solo. I'm pretty sure every track on this album had a guitar solo, but a couple had organ solos, and I thought that those were a bit more impressive. One other notable musical moment on this album is the outro of Hitch a Ride. That was a really good, instrumental. So yeah, there were a couple really good moments on this album. Overall, I thought it was, okay. It was decent. I didn't think it was crazy good. But I did look it up, and I found out that it kind of was ahead of its time. I was listening to this, and I was thinking, this makes you think of stuff like Journey or Foreigner. And both of those bands weren't hit makers until after this album came out. So while I didn't exactly love the stuff from this album, I did love a lot of the stuff that it paved the way for in the future. Am I going to be listening to another Boston album in the future? I wouldn't count on it. I think it's more likely I would listen to a Journey album or a Foreigner album. And yes, those are the only examples I could think of off the top of my head of this type of music. This is a big one. It's kind of surprising that it took 4 years to even get to it. This is one of those albums that both of my parents are oh, I love that one. Probably the most notable album I haven't listened to yet for Album April is Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell, and that's not even on the docket this year. And I say notable because it is one of the highest selling albums of all time. Now that I think about it, it probably should be on the docket for next year. But now I'm getting sidetracked. I thought that Boston by Boston was good. I didn't go crazy for it, but I can definitely appreciate it. Alright, thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.